just try to imagine a second London without its underground. As the Victorian age began, London could already boast 2 million inhabitants and was the largest city in the world. Already back then, the budding and growing railways would discharge millions of commuters into the city every year. In 1854, London Bridge Station already discharged 10 million commuters a year into the city of London. The city became black with people, the street full of horse-drawn carriages and all kinds of horse-drawn contraption, and thrombosis laid around the corner. How could you solve the problem? After many peregrinations, a scheme was tried, one at the time of the day called utopian, and one which, even if it could be accomplished, would certainly never pay. At the first knack at the problem, after cutting up the city apart and tearing neighbourhoods apart, the Metropolitan Railway was opened its door on the 10th of January 1863 between Paddington and Farrington. 5 years later, its counterpart, the District Railway, using the newly built Victoria Embankment, will open its door between Westminster and Kensington. By 1884, the now familiar yellow circle was complete. But inside that circle, the city was still gridlocked, and in fact things were going even more worse, for a crisis lay around the corner, an horse manure crisis. Just imagine, thousands of horses every day, pulling cars, buses and trams in the street of the busy city, and producing thousands of tons of manure a day. How could you solve that problem? How could you drive the rail into the city without tearing it apart beforehand? It would be in the very depth of the city that the solution to the problem would lie, on the bed of blue clay upon which London resides. To make way for the railway and to have no fear from you that would say, a railway, yes, but most certainly not in my backyard, please. One invention made that possible: the tunnelling shield of James Henry Grasshead, a chamber in which men working like ants would hack away at the ground with hydraulic jacks, tear it apart with picks and shovels, to leave behind them a tube lined with cast iron. But there was a problem. Now you've got a tunnel. How are you going to power the trains through it? Unless you want to have a steam engine and obviously choke in the fumes, perhaps. One possibility arose itself: the power of compressed air, driving trains in a tunnel like the piston of a great engine. Or another solution lied, an old one, as old as mankind itself, perhaps, pulling and dragging them on ropes, driven by a steam engine. But another recent invention would solve that problem: the electric ferry that turned darkness into lights, and with its serial forces would power the engine that would drive the trains through the clay. And so, on the 4th of November 1890, the City and South London Railway opened its door between Stockwell and Bath. Entrepreneur now jumped on the bandwagon. The Waterloo and City Railway would follow in 1896. The two-penny tube Central London Railway would follow in 1900. From the middle of the Thames onward, a great shaft was driven into the clay, from which the Baker Street and Waterloo Railway was built, a line that would forever be remembered as the Bakerloo Line, a vulgar name, as the town called it then, when it opened its door in 1906. Just a year later, all the various competing companies built by private entrepreneurs were brought together under the United Electric Railway Company of London. And on that same year, in 1907, the now familiar underground name and sign were born. It would take until 1933, however, for all the various undertakings to be merged into one, including the Metropolitan and the District, under the aegis of the city-owned London Transport Board. By then, on the famous map drawn by Harry Beck in 1931, the tube would extend its tendril deep into Sussex, Middlesex and Surrey, transforming picturesque sleepy villages into bustling towns for busy commuters. Today, the London Underground carries 1.23 billion passengers a year, almost 4 million a day, half the population of the city, 2/3 of which are carried through the clay on the deep tube lines. The busiest of which is the Victoria Line, built in stages between 1968 and 1972, carrying 200 million passengers a year, 3 times the population of Britain, on just 21 kilometers of track. That's 10 billion people for each kilometer of track. The system comprised 270 stations and 402 kilometers of tracks, from Amersham in Buckinghamshire to Epping in Essex. But it is not the end of the story. As we are speaking, the mechanical worm that have replaced the picks and shovel of age past are worming their way through the clay between Paddington and Farrington once again to build a tunnel of Crossrail. And as this momentous project will come to an end in 2019, I now call for more, a lot more in fact. I call for the never-realized dream of the post-war planners to bring the tube south of the river and under Great Street like the Fleet and the Strand to come true. For past plans to be turned into engineering blueprints. For a growing city like London needs artery and oars, our rail driven through the clay. I will leave the final words for tonight to Monsieur Fulgence Bienvenu, the builder of Paris Metro. Iovis erepto fulmine, per impera veitur, promessi genus. Through the power of Jupiter's lightning, Prometheus' race is transported through the depth of the earth. Madam Toastmaster.